What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Solomon's Outdoor Adventures. This is episode 1 of Geology of National Parks, a mini-series where I'll dive deep into the geology of national parks and monuments around the country. Let's kick this series off by exploring one of my personal favorites, Lassen Volcanic National Park. In this geologic tour, we'll make 3 stops. Our first stop will be Cinder Cone, you guessed it, cinder cone that dates back to 1666, erupting only 350 years ago. Next, we'll climb to the summit of Lassen Peak, where we'll get to see California's youngest rocks, day site that dates back to 1915, when the volcano last erupted. We'll then go to Bumpus Hell, the largest active geothermal area in the Cascades, and we'll talk all about the geology of Lassen Volcanic National Park. You're not going to want to miss it. Without further ado, let's do it! But before we get started with the tour, let's first discuss some regional geology of the area. Located in Northern California at the southern end of the Cascade Range, Lassen Volcanic National Park really is a one-of-a-kind place. Boasting lush forests, stunning views, and active volcanoes, this park offers a unique opportunity to really get to know the planet we call home and the geologic processes that shape it. The park contains 4 types of volcanoes, including stratovolcanoes, lava domes, shield volcanoes, and cinder cones, as well as the largest active geothermal area in the Cascades, Bumpus Hell. That's cool and all, but why are these volcanoes even here? The answer to that lies in the regional tectonics of the area. Lassen is at the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone, a convergent plate boundary off the west coast of North America where the oceanic Juan de Fuca plate dives, or subducts, beneath the continental North American plate. Subduction zones are responsible for lots of interesting geology, including megathrust earthquakes, epithermal gold deposits, and volcanic arcs, and the Lassen Volcanic Center is, you guessed it, part of the Cascade Volcanic Arc. It turns out that water is pretty much the entire reason why these volcanic arcs form at subduction zones. You see, as the denser Juan de Fuca plate dives beneath the lighter North American plate, large amounts of water from the Pacific Ocean come along with it, almost like a massive tectonic drain. This water incorporates itself into iron and magnesium-rich minerals, lowering the melting point of rocks in the main zone of subduction. This melts the rock in the system and allows for a process known as metasomatism to occur. Metasomatism is the chemical alteration of minerals in magma, and this is facilitated by the water that was introduced to the system. The magma that is derived from the Juan de Fuca plate is mafic, meaning iron-rich, due to it coming from oceanic crust, but as it interacts with the water introduced to the system from subduction, it evolves from basalt to rhyolite, as the water alters the chemical structure of the melt. As the magma evolves and iron-rich minerals crystallize out of the melt, it begins to lose mass and gain buoyancy, as it becomes lighter than the surrounding crust. These plumes of magma eventually rise to the surface, forming the spectacular volcanoes in the Pacific Northwest. This is a vast oversimplification of the entire process, but the main idea is that water introduced into the system from the subduction zone chemically alters the rock so that it melts, evolves, and rises to the surface, forming the volcanoes. This occurs pretty far inland because the pressure and temperature of the system needs to be high to facilitate these processes, and that can only be achieved in deep areas of the subduction zone. The volcanoes erupt directly above the aforementioned deep areas of the subduction zone. The Cascades as we know them have been active for the last 37 million years, but the west coast of North America has had a subduction zone with volcanic arcs for at least the last 250 million years. The Sierra Nevada mountains, immediately south of the Cascades, are chiefly composed of granodiorite, an intrusive igneous rock that represents the core of a volcanic arc, and the oldest granodiorites in the Sierras date back about 250 million years ago to the beginning of the Triassic period. This was when the Farallon Plate began subducting beneath the North American Plate, forming the Sierra Magmatic Arc. The Farallon Plate fully subducted in Southern California roughly 30 million years ago, generating the San Andreas Fault. In fact, the Juan de Fuca Plate is technically the Farallon Plate. When the Farallon Plate hit North America, it broke off into 2 different plates, the Juan de Fuca Plate to the north and the Cocos Plate to the south. When the Farallon Plate split in 2, the Los Angeles Basin was opened as a triple junction formed. In tectonics, a triple junction is a place where three tectonic plates meet, and the specific triple junction that opened the Los Angeles Basin is the Mendocino Triple Junction, which still exists today. The Mendocino Triple Junction is located off the coast of Cape Mendocino in Northern California, just south of Eureka, and it's where the Pacific, North American, and Juan de Fuca plates meet. It marks the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone, and within the last 30 million years, it's moved north over 600 miles from Los Angeles to where it is today. As such, the Cascades used to be a much longer volcanic chain, continuing much further south 30 million years ago than they do today. As the Triple Junction moved north, volcanoes associated with the ancestral Cascades stopped erupting, as there was no longer a subduction zone to build them. 10 million years ago, the Triple Junction was roughly at the latitude of Monterey. As such, the Cascades continued south through Lake Tahoe, Reno, and western Nevada. Today, the Mendocino Triple Junction is pretty much immediately due west of Lassen Volcanic National Park, and it's no coincidence that Lassen is now the furthest south volcano in the chain. In 10 million years, given the average rate of motion of the San Andreas Fault, the Triple Junction will likely be at the latitude of Newport, Oregon, 315 miles north of where it is today. Hence, all of the Cascade volcanoes south of Newport will be extinct in 10 million years. Lassen is almost dead. It really only has about 440,000 years of activity left before it's extinct. That sounds like a long time, but it's the blink of an eye geologically speaking. Though the Cascades have been active for 37 million years, Lassen Volcano has only been active for the last 27,000 years. A long time anthropologically speaking, but the blink of an eye geologically speaking. Lassen Peak itself is the world's largest volcanic dome. It rose from the ashes of the now destroyed Mount Tehama, an ancient stratovolcano in the area. Lassen Peak last erupted from 1915 to 1921, spewing lava, pumice, andesite, and dacite. Additionally, it sent a huge plume of ash 40,000 feet into the air. Volcanic activity persists today at Bumpus Hell, an active geothermal area on the slopes of the volcano. Moreover, small earthquakes occur quite regularly here as the magma moves in the magma chamber beneath the volcano. All right, now that we've discussed that regional geology, without further ado, let's get this tour started. Stop 1, Cinder Cone. What's going on, everybody? We're here at Lassen Volcanic National Park, hiking Cinder Cone. As you could have probably guessed, cinder cone. Hiking on the trail here, and you can see cinder cone right up there. That's super cool. And then lava flows attributed to the eruption will be visible. So let's keep it moving. And there's the cinder cone right ahead of us, and you see the trail going to the top of it. All right, so let's use this stop here to talk some quick geology. This here is a cinder cone, which is a type of volcano, and it erupted in 1650. So the cinder cone erupted, and not only did it form that cone, also these lava flows here that you see in front of us, those are all attributed with the cinder cone. This is all basalt. This is all mafic magma, high in iron and magnesium and low in silica. So it flows like this as it erupts out of these edifices. So let's keep going towards the top to see some good views. And we can see here that the top is to the left. Now please stay on the trail to avoid tracking cinder fields, whatever that means, but that's what the sign says. So this here is a piece of scoria, also known as cinder, which is some of the hot lava that was very much filled with gas. This is very light rock that erupted out of that cinder cone, or scoria cone. The two terms are synonymous. So one of the first Europeans to come here, a man by the name of Harkless, arrived in 1850, and upon seeing this area, he noted that this rock was super young, so he ventured to guess that it was only 25 years old. Now, Harkless wasn't a geologist, but the first geologist to come here in the 1880s estimated that the lava flows here and the cinder cone were about 200 years old. Now, he was pretty accurate for not having any tools, but most recently, geologists have been able to determine that this lava flow and cinder cone dates back to the year 1650 because of a little technique called radiocarbon dating. So all life forms, including these trees that you see, have carbon in them. And they all have radioactive isotopes of carbon, carbon-14. Now, geologists found a tree that was engulfed by this lava flow that died as it got burned alive by the lava. So they found this tree and they dated that tree using radiocarbon dating, and they found that that tree died in the year 1650, which is when this lava flow came through. So that's pretty cool. Science. Up towards the top we go. Let's do it. Not gonna lie, y'all. This is a pretty hard hike. It's like loose, sandy material. It's pretty steep, straight up the cone. So be prepared when you come and hike this. It's like 1 step up, 0.5 steps back, because you slide back. Whew. Lassen there. What a slog. I will take this moment to talk about the view. Lassen Peak, 10,457 feet above sea level, the southernmost active volcano in the Cascades. Actually, one of the world's largest lava domes. Rather than a stratovolcano, it is part of the now collapsed Mount Tehama, which used to be a stratovolcano. Lassen volcano is the dome, the lava dome. Last erupted 1915 through 1921. So here at the top of Cinder Cone, we've got a crater, which is presumably where the lava erupted out. And if we look to the west here, Lassen Peak, and the views of all the mountains around here are really testament to the geologic processes that are occurring and that have occurred. These are all just cinder cones, volcanoes here in the southern Cascades. And the mountain that we're on right now, Cinder Cone, is just the latest iteration of all these cinder cones. Yeah. So all of this rock that you see around me, this is what geologists call tephra. And tephra just refers to all of the molten rock, all of the volcanic materials that explode out of a volcano. So different examples of tephra: scoria, pumice, lava, right? So tephra just refers to everything that erupts out of a volcano. Damn, still rolling. Oh, it stopped. Yeah, this is how hot it is. See that heat shimmering off of the cinder cone down there? Pretty dope. Science. Going down sure is a hoot. Woo woo! Legitimately took like half an hour to get up that. Like 2 minutes to get down. Woo woo! Stop 2, Lassen Peak. We are about to hike to the top of Lassen Peak. It's 5 miles round trip, about 2,000 foot elevation gain. We're starting at the trailhead here at 8,500 feet, and the summit is 10,457 feet above sea level. And there's tons of butterflies everywhere, so it's gonna be pretty sweet to hike to the top of an active volcano. And joining me is Karen on today's hike. So let's do it. So if you look towards the volcano on the south side, that feature right there looks like an eyeball, and that's called Vulcan's Eye. It was created by erosion, but not gonna lie, it does look like someone's watching you. have made it to the top of Lassen Peak. Well, I guess technically the top's there, but the top of the trail. Mount Shasta, way over there. Wow. And top's just right up there. Let's get it. We got some crater action here, top of Lassen. Now, Lassen Peak is not considered a stratovolcano. It's actually considered a volcanic dome, one of the world's largest. These rocks that we're looking at, these are some of California's youngest rocks, dating back to 1915, when the volcano last erupted. And if we look in the window over there, we can see the beautiful Mount Shasta, 14,179 feet above sea level. And this right here is just a very aesthetically pleasing shot. Look at that, Mount Shasta poking out from the window up here on top of Lassen Peak. Greetings from the summit of Lassen Peak. We're looking west towards the northern Sacramento Valley and the Klamath Mountains. And then we're going to pan north right now towards Mount Shasta and Shastina. To the northeast flank of the volcano, which we're looking at now, that's where all the material from the 1915 to 1921 eruption went down the mountain. It's pretty trippy to look at. And now we're looking down at Chaos Crags, which last erupted 1,100 years ago. And now we're just looking north again at Mount Shasta, which is one of my personal favorite mountains. It's just beautiful. 14,179 feet above sea level. Absolutely gorgeous. This is just so freaking cool. These chunks of lava rock. That was all lava 100 years ago. Just coming out of the earth at the top of this volcano, Lassen Peak, the volcanic dome here. That is amazing. I highly recommend climbing Lassen Peak if you're into geology. Just gonna walk along to this lava field over here. I am about to cross over to that 1915 lava flow. In 3, 2, 1. I am now on that 1915 lava flow here on Lassen Peak. And this is just a perfect viewpoint to see the volcanic landscape here. That summit up there, the top of Lassen Peak, was pre-existing. And this lava flow erupted out of the north side of the summit. This rock that I have in my hand, this is volcanic rock that erupted out of the ground here 100 years ago. This type of rock is called dacite, and it's intermediate to felsic in composition, meaning that it has a pretty high amount of silica in it, making it very viscous. And rather than it flowing out of a volcano like a river, like mafic lava that you would find in Hawaii, this formed this dome here. This is what Lassen Peak is made out of, dacite. The blacker stuff in the dacite suggests biotite and hornblende in it. If you look at this big purple specimen here, it's a great specimen of dacite. This is almost obsidian-esque, kind of cluing you in on how this erupted, cooled very quickly. This is a perfect specimen of that dacite that I was talking about here that erupted at the summit of Lassen Peak. And we can just see this landscape here looks very extraterrestrial almost. Looks like we are on the moon or Mars or some sort of other planet, because this is completely devoid of life. And the reason being is because, as aforementioned, this lava just came out of the ground 100 years ago and cooled. So it hasn't really had the chance to erode that much into soil. Not a lot of plants up here. Not to mention we are at 10,400 feet above sea level. It's pretty inhospitable, the climate is up here. And we can just see this like little canyon here. This marks the edge of this rock here was lava that erupted in 1915. And this rock that I'm standing on, that ends right here, that is the pre-existing volcanic rock of Lassen Peak before 1915. And you can tell relatively, without using any potassium argon or carbon dating or radiocarbon dating, that this is much younger than this, and that this is where that lava flow stopped, because this is much more eroded than this side. This side is still very rocky. This is really awesome. This is a great place to see that the end of this 1915 to 1921 eruptive cycle and this older volcanic rock that was pre-existing before the eruption. So really awesome here at the summit of Lassen Peak. Looking north towards Mount Shasta there, we can see some glaciers towards the top of the mountain. There's 7 glaciers on Mount Shasta today, but back in the 1800s there were 99 glaciers on the mountain. So glacial retreat happening. All right, time for the trek down. It was a beautiful hike, great views, and really cool geology. Stop 3, Bumpus Hell. All right, guys, so we're here at Bumpus Hell. Show you guys the mud pits and whatnot when we get there. But yeah, you can hear it in the background. Interesting stuff. Bumpus Hell is the largest of several active hydrothermal areas in Lassen Volcanic National Park. Here, geothermally heated water shoots out of the ground in the form of steaming fumaroles, boiling mud pots, and warm pools. The temperature of the water here varies, but is about 198 degrees Fahrenheit on average, with some vents as high as 230 degrees Fahrenheit. In addition to scalding water, steam, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and other volcanic gases are ejected from Bumpus Hell. The active hydrothermal system of Bumpus Hell is currently depositing sulfur, pyrite, quartz, and other minerals in the area. The pools in Bumpus Hell get their brilliant color from these minerals in the water. Opal and kaolinite are also deposited as the gases and other substances in the water react with the bedrock around Bumpus Hell. Hydrothermal areas like Bumpus Hell are formed when groundwater comes into contact with the hot magma chamber of an active volcano. The magma superheats the water, forcing it up to the surface above the magma chamber. This hot water takes chemicals along with it, hence the mineral deposition. Bumpus Hell is just a really cool and beautiful place, and I highly recommend visiting it. It's pretty trippy, man. Okay guys, this is kind of crazy. We're here at Bumpus Hell in Lassen Volcanic National Park, and we're hearing like deep rumblings, and that steam vent is being very active. I don't know if you guys can hear this and like kind of feel it, but there's like some deep rumblings going on here. I don't know if you guys can hear it in the video, but you can definitely hear it and feel it here. Just deep rumblings. You guys hear that? Eerie. Lassen Volcanic National Park is one of the coolest national parks around, in my opinion, due in large part to its volcanic activity and beautiful landscapes. Hopefully you learned a thing or two about it and enjoyed yourself while doing so. I highly recommend giving Lassen a visit, and when you do come, be sure to stay on maintained trails and to respect the land. If you haven't already, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel if you enjoy content like this, as it would really help me get more videos out to y'all. Thanks again for watching, and as always, peace! Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Solomon's Outdoor Adventures. If you enjoy content like this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and check out some of our other adventures right here. As always guys, thanks again and peace!